Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back for our afternoon session on Leka, which is you go, and it's when Yahweh tells Abraham to what?
Get up and go.
You get up, you go, and don't take anybody with you except your wife, because she and you are one, right? That's really what he said. He said, go, leave your family. And so we're fixing to get into that. We're about to get into that. That's a Texas slang there, fixing. But before we do, Seth, would you bless us here?
Our Father, thank you for bringing us all together today. Thank you for this wonderful time we get to spend with you. One day a week, although we should be spending it every day with you, Father.
That's right.
All the sicknesses that we have going around and all, if you just please heal that, Father.
Yes, Father.
Just get it out of our systems, all the bad, where all we have is good, and that's all that shines is the light that you've given us. Father, just watch over us as we go throughout these days. We're getting tempted daily by Hasatan, and we're just trying to overcome him. And you promised us if we overcome him, we'll be grafted into your kingdom. So Father, just be with us, bless our families, watch over Pete and Misty, getting them back home to where they need to be. Bless this shop, bless Vicky for doing all that she does. And just bless each and every one of us in the precious name of your Son. I pray these things.
Amen. Okay, Bill, wave bye. You got caught. You got busted.
See you there. Drive safe, sir. Y'all live with Abram.
Okay, and again, welcome back. So this morning what we did was we went through the book of Yasher through chapter 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We made a lot of tracks this morning. But what we did is we set the groundwork for what we're about to do in Genesis 12 through 17. And so everyone in here now knows where Abram came from, that he spent how many years with Shem and Noah?
39.
39. Being taught, and Shem was a righteous man, and he taught Torah. So Shem was a rabbi, he was a teacher. So we are about to start in Genesis, and Seth, thank you for that beautiful prayer.
You're welcome.
And here we go, and this is part 2. If you didn't listen to part 1, I'm going to recommend that you go back and listen to part 1, which is going to be the Yasher study. And it gives you, it helps you to understand the fullness of Genesis, because it's big and it's broad, and it doesn't do anything but confirm what's already in the canons. So here we go. We are in chapter 12, verse 1. And Yahweh said to Abram, go yourself out of your land, from your relatives, and from your father's house, to a land which I show you. And I shall make you a great nation, and bless you, and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. So he's really making what? How many promises is he? He's making he's making a commandment and a promise. Go ye forth, and I'm going to bless you and make your nation great. And I want you to see something here, because there are like 6 I wills. He says, I will bless you. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse those who curse you. I will make all clans of the earth blessed through you. And what else was there? And I shall make you a great nation. So he's making some promises of what he will do right here. Okay. So he says in 2, I will make you a great nation and bless you and make your name great, and you will be a blessing. And the word nation means what, guys?
Gentiles.
It's the Gentiles. It's the Goyim. And I shall bless those who bless you, and curse him who curses you, and in you all the clans of the earth shall be blessed. Guys, doesn't that bring you to a place of wondering, why would anybody curse Israel? You curse Israel, guess who's going to curse you? Yahweh. And he's not joking. I'm telling you. No, they haven't. I want us to look at Ezekiel 47:21, because I want you to see how we're going to be blessed. And we just finished Ezekiel. We just finished some really good food. We have some awesome cooks up here, and we found out we have a new chef that we didn't even know we had. And that was an awesome chicken casserole, Robert.
Yes.
You girls out there, he's single, okay? So,
You can say that again.
he said I can say it again. You girls out there, he's
And he
single.
can cook.
And he can cook. Wait, do you do windows?
Anything asked of me.
Wow.
There you go. We're
Nothing new under
auctioning
the sun.
Robert. Okay, what verse did I tell y'all to go to? I got so.
31.
Ezekiel 47:21.
You're so good.
I thought you said
And so, Dennis, since you're there, you want to go ahead and read it and go all the. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me read this one because I've got a few notes here. I'm sorry. You were just getting ready to fire it off. And you shall divide this land among yourselves according to the tribes of Israel. And it shall be that you divide it by lot as an inheritance for yourselves and for the strangers who sojourn in your midst. Who are the strangers?
Gentiles.
This is actually not goyim. The word for stranger here is a ger. And so the ger is those who are sojourning and living amongst them and working to become Israel. These are those who are being in the midst of transformation. And they shall be to you as native born. So the ger, or the stranger amongst them, is going to be as a native born Israelite. I saw that.
That was like we were.
Yes. Guys, we were goyim. We were the
of
Gentiles.
The nations.
We were of the
We
nations. Thank
become
you.
strangers,
Yes.
and hopefully we're now Israel.
But look at the beauty of being, what'd you call us? Israel. I like the way you said it. Look at the benefit for becoming Israel. And they shall be to you as native born among the children of Israel, and with you they have an inheritance in the midst of the tribes of Israel. And it shall be that in whatever tribe the stranger or the ger sojourns, there you give him his inheritance, declares the Master Yahweh. So what is he saying? This is the part of the blessing of being from Abram's seed, guys. You're his seed, we're his seed. Guess what? We get to inherit with all his tribe. Isn't that cool? That's pretty cool. Okay, I get excited. Okay, we're in chapter 12, verse 4. And anybody who goes to sleep gets sprayed
Which
with a
one?
water gun. Huh?
Which one are we on?
We're in chapter 12, verse 4.
Genesis.
Move back.
So Abram left as Yahweh had commanded him, and Lot went with him. So in reading Yashar, what you saw is the first time he left, did Lot go with him? No, he didn't. But this time Lot went, hey, I'm going with you. You're pretty blessed. I get blessings when I'm around you. And Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. And Abram took Sarah his wife and Lot his brother's son and all their possessions that they had gathered and the beings whom they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan. And they came to the land of Canaan. And Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, as far as the terebinth tree of Moreh. Okay, what all has happened in Shechem? Everybody goes to Shechem. Right? Isaac goes to Shechem. Huh? Moshe goes to Shechem. Everybody in the Bible goes to Shechem. And at that time, the Canaanites were in the land. And the terebinth tree of Moreh, that word Moreh can mean teaching. So he's going to the tree of teaching. He's going back there. And Yahweh appeared to Abram and said, to you I give, to your seed I give this land. And he built there a slaughter place to Yahweh, who had appeared to him. And guys, listen, when you build a slaughter place and when you're making a sacrifice, what is that doing? It's kind of sealing the covenant, right? So Yahweh was already telling him, to your seed I'm going to give this land. Does Abram have any seed right now? Mm-mm. And he's how old? He's 75 right now. And from there he moved to the mountain east of Bethel, and he pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east, and he built there a slaughter place to Yahweh and called on the name of Yahweh. And Bethel means what? Beth. Beth is what? Beth means what? The bet means house. El, Yah. So, house of Yah. And Abram set out, continuing forward to the south, and a scarcity of food came to be in the land. And Abram went to Mitzrayim to dwell there, for the scarcity of food was severe in the land. Okay. Do you see anything about Yah telling him to go to Mitzrayim? Mm-mm. So he left because Yah told him to leave. But you don't see anything about Yah telling him to go to Mitzrayim because there's a famine. But every time there's a famine, what you're going to see is he heads to Mitzrayim. Yes.
Well, Jacob went to Mitzrayim.
Jacob went to Mitzrayim as well. And it came to be when he was close to entering Mitzrayim that he said to Sarai, his wife, "See, I know that you are a beautiful woman to look at, and it shall be when the Mitzrites see you that they shall say, 'This is his wife,' and they shall kill me, but let you live. Please say you are my sister, so that it shall be well with me for your sake, and my life be spared because of you." And it came to be when Abram came into Mitzrayim that the Mitzrites saw the woman, that she was beautiful. And Pharaoh's officials saw her and praised her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken to Pharaoh's house. And he treated Abram well for her sake, and he had sheep and cattle and male donkeys, and male and female servants, and female donkeys and camels. But Yahweh plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram, and he said, "What is this you have done to me? Why did you not inform me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? And so I was going to take her for my wife. Look, here's your wife. Take her and go." And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away with his wife and all that he had. This is not talking about where Haggai came from, but Yashar 15:31 does. Let's keep on going, and when we get to Hagar, I want you to see that. In 13:1, and Abram went up from Mitzrayim into the south, and he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him. And Abram was very rich in livestock, and silver, and in gold. So think about everything he got when he was with Nimrod. Remember that? In Shinar? How much he left? He got gold and silver and cattle and sheep. Plus, how many men? He left with 300 men the first time. And then 70 joined him in Haran. So he had at least probably 379 men. And he went on his journey from the south as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the slaughter place which he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of Yahweh. Now Lot, who was with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their possessions were great, so they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdsmen of Avram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. And at that time the Canaanites and the Perizzites dwelt in the land. And they're fixing to split, but I want you to see something. And you don't even have to turn here. But I'm going to go into Yashar 15 really quick, because I want you to see something here in verse 36. And I'm going to be reading through 41. In Yashar 36, it says, "When Abram was dwelling in the land, the herdsmen of Lot quarreled with the herdsmen of Abram, for their property was too great for them to remain together in the land, and the land could not bear them on account of their cattle. And when Abram's herdsmen went to feed their flock, they would not go into the fields of the people of the land, but the cattle of Lot's herdsmen did otherwise, for they were allowed to feed in the fields of the people of the land. And the people of the land saw this occurrence daily, and they came to Abram and quarreled with him on account of Lot's herdsmen. And Abram said to Lot, 'What is this you are doing to me, to make me despicable to the inhabitants of the land, that you ordered your herdsmen to feed your cattle in the fields of other people? Do you not know that I am a stranger in this land among the children of Canaan? And why will you do this to me?' And Abram quarreled daily with Lot on account of this, but Lot would not listen to Abram, and he continued to do the same. And the inhabitants of the land came and tattled on him to Abram. And Abram said to Lot, how long will you be to me a stumbling block with the inhabitants of the land? Now I petition you, let there be no more quarreling between us, for we are kinsmen. And so this is really the reason why they're having to split. So what is Lot doing? He's making Abraham look what? Bad. I mean, if you've got a plot of land and this is where you're planting your garden, and suddenly you look up and Mr. Lot has all his cattle over there eating your cabbages and your lettuces and your tomatoes, those big red tomatoes, what would you do? You would be, first of all, that's your sustenance that's going to sustain you and feed you. It's going to take care of your children and your family. And if the cattle are eating it up, there's a problem, and it's going to cause big problems for them. Okay, so we are back in Scriptures in chapter 13, in verse 9. Is not all the land before you? Please separate from me. If you take the left, then I go to the right. Or if you go to the right, then I go to the left. And Lot lifted his eyes and saw all the plain of the Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before Yahweh destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. And like the garden of Yahweh, like the land of Mitzrayim, as far as you go towards Zor. So Lot chose for himself all the plain of the Jordan, and Lot moved east. Thus they separated from each other. And Abram dwelling in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelling in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent as far as Sodom. But the men of Sodom were evil and sinned before Yahweh exceedingly so. And after Lot had separated from him, Yahweh said to Abram, lift your eyes up. Isn't that interesting how over here, Lot lifted his own eyes up? But when you look at this verse in 14, Yahweh tells Abraham, lift your eyes up. Now lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all of the land which you see, I shall give to you and your seed. For how long? Forever. And how long's that? Bill, how long is that? How long's forever?
Non-stop.
Non-stop. Okay. And I shall make your seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man could count the dust of the earth, then your seed also could be counted. So you can't even number his seeds. First of all, you don't even know where all his seed is, right? Okay, and arise, walk in the land through its length and its width, for I give it to you. So Abram moved his tent and went and dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built a slaughter place there to Yahweh. And do you remember the area I showed you this morning, which was Hebron? That's where it was. That's where he was. Is that not amazing that you can look at the land where he walked and where he traveled and camped? What, Robert? You got that troubled look on your face.
The length and the width. All the land. The length and the width, right?
Yes, all of it. Yeah.
Sounds flat, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does sound flat, but it was very hilly.
Yeah.
Hilly,
It was very hilly.
rocky.
You know, what's really neat to me is that the way he talked to Abram and the way Abram obeyed him, it was like a little child. So innocent and trusting, and y'all said get up and go, I'm going. Y'all said to move, I'm moving. Y'all said separate from Lot, bye Lot. So, I mean, he just is so obedient.
And he let Lot have the best.
He did. He didn't
He
care.
said, I'll take what you don't want.
So why would he do that? Because who's got him under their wing?
No.
Yahweh.
He knows he's taking care of him.
Yes. So
He
listen.
can trust him and know that he's going to take care of him.
Absolutely. That's the way we should be. You know what? If you're given the same situation, if you've got a Lincoln and a Doodlebug sitting in front of you and your buddy, and you go, hey, you're going to take a car and I'm going to take a car. Choose whichever one. You know which one he's going to choose, right? the doodlebug, right?
Well, he had
No,
told,
it's,
he had told him right here, all the as far as you can see.
As far
I'm
as you can
getting at
see.
So he knew it was. So he believed him, even though this was happening.
yes,
He knew
yes.
that was going to be his.
Okay, any questions on 13? We're moving pretty fast, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to. Okay, chapter 14, and this is gonna be the war. And it came to pass in the days of Amphorel, which is also thought to be Nimrod, and I'm not sure of that, but it was the sovereign of Shinar, and Nimrod was the sovereign of Shinar, so probably it is.
Another name.
Mm-hmm. And Arioch, sovereign of Elasar, and Kedorla Amar. I usually let Bethany read all these names. Kedorla Amar, sovereign of Elam, and Tadal, sovereign of Goyim. Isn't that interesting? Goyim, Gentiles. That they fought against Bera, sovereign of Sedom, Bersha, sovereign of Amorah, Shinab, sovereign of Admah, Shem Eber, sovereign of Zeboim, and the sovereign of Bela, that is Zor. And all these joined together in the valley of Sedom, that is the Salt Sea. 12, listen, right now, that valley is desolate. It's desolate. But back then, for them to be fighting over this land, it had to be green and lush. Don't you think? It had to be. 12 years they served Kedorla Omar. In the 13th year, they rebelled. And in the 14th year, Kedorla Omar, I'm going to call him Kedar, and the sovereigns that were with him came and struck the Raphaim and the Ashtoreth, Kornagim and the Zuzim in Ham, and the Emites in Shawah Kiriathaim. I really butchered those names. Sorry, guys. Okay, and the Ashtoreth also does mean Ishtar. The Ashtoreth poles
So
were
that's
used in the worship of Ishtar.
That was probably the beginning of it.
It probably was. So the Ashtoreth poles. I mean, what did Yahweh say? Don't go serve the god of the Ashtoreth. Okay, and the Horites in their mountain of Seir, as far as El Paran, which is by the wilderness, and they turned back and came to En Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and struck all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites who dwelt in Hakkatzon Tamar, and the sovereign of Sodom, and the sovereign of Amorah, and the sovereign of Admah, and the sovereign of Zeboim, and the sovereign of Bela, that is Zoar, went out and joined together in a battle in the valley of Sedom against Kedorla Omar, sovereign of Elam, and Tidal, sovereign of Goyim, and Amphorel, sovereign of Shinar, and Arioch, sovereign of Elasar. 4 sovereigns against 5. And the valley of Sedom had many tar pits, and the sovereigns of Sodom and Amorah fled and fell there, and the remainder fled to the mountains. And they took all the goods of Sedom and Amorah and all their food and went away. So guys, listen, we see the way that Sodom and Gomorrah go, right? It looks like all of their sovereigns are gone. They either fell in the tar pits or went to the mountains, and it allowed this whole area to be robbed. So it almost sounds like they left this area leaderless. Do you know what I'm saying? When left on our own, we can do some pretty crazy stuff, right? What did the children of Israel do? When Moshe stayed on the mountain too long, they made their own god. And they took Lot, Abram's brother, son, who dwelt in Sedom, and his goods, and they left. And one who had escaped came and informed Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Anar, and they had a covenant with Abram. Okay, so Abram was the Hebrew. What does that mean? He wasn't an Israelite yet, but he was Hebrew because he crossed over. So Hebrew means to cross over. So he crossed over into Canaan. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his 318 trained servants who were born in his own house and went in pursuit as far as Dan. Do we still have our map. Oh, it's covered by our screen. So Tel Dan is up towards the north of Israel. So you saw all the terrain in the pictures that I showed you this morning, the hills and the mountains, and they had to do some climbing, guys. They had to be in really good shape. And he and his servants divided against them by night and struck them and pursued them as far as Hobah, which is on the left of Damascus. So he brought back all the goods, and also brought back his brother Lot and his goods, as well as the women and the people. And after his return from the striking of Kedorlaomer and the sovereigns who were with him, the sovereign of Sedom came out to meet him at the valley of Shawah, that is the sovereign's valley. And Melchizedek, sovereign of Shalom or Salem, brought out bread and wine, and now he was the priest of the Most High El. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High El, possessor of the heavens and earth. Now I want you to see something really cool here. Jasher 16, and you might want to take note of this, but in Jasher 16, verse 11 through 12, I want to read this to you. And Adonai Zedek. So what would that mean? Adonai is what? Yah. Zedek is a priest. So Adonai, the priest of Yah, is what they're calling him. Adonai Zedek, king of Jerusalem, the same was Shem, went out with his men to meet Abram and his people with bread and wine, and they remained together in the valley of Melech. Adonai Zedek blessed Abram, and Abram gave him a tenth from all that he had brought from the spoil of his enemies. For Adonai Zedek was a priest before Yah. He was the Melchizedek. And so isn't that really awesome how we're just tying all this together? So Shem, who was Shem? Who did he raise? Abram. From the time he was 10 years old till he was 49 years old. Abram lived in Shem and in Noah's house and was raised up knowing Torah and knowing the ways of Yah, knowing the right from wrong. He knew it all. So here, his 10th generation from him, great uncle, his great uncle, met him out in the wilderness. And he blessed him. So he said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High El, possessor of the heavens and earth. And blessed be the Most High El, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And he gave him a tenth of all. And the sovereign of Sedom said to Abram, Give me the people and take the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the sovereign of Sedom, I have lifted my hand to Yahweh, the Most High El, the possessor of the heavens and earth, not to take a thread or a sandal strap or whatever is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich, except only what the young men have eaten and the portions of the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion. What did he do? What had Abraham said to Yah? I don't want any of that. Give me the victory, but I don't want any of the goods or the spoils. And what did he do? He said, I'm not going to take a thread or a sandal strap or whatever is yours, lest you should say, I made Abram rich. Because who made Abram rich? Yah, that's right. I want us to look at something on the Melchizedek. Look at Hebrews. We're switching books so much. Hebrews 6:20.
Everybody there?
It's on page 1170.
You can find it there. Where Yeshua has entered as a forerunner for us, having become high priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek.
Okay, I'm going to ask you something. Was Melchizedek in the Levitical line?
Nope.
He was not. Because was there a Levitical line yet? No. Okay, was Yeshua in the Levitical line? No. So he's talking where Yeshua has entered as a forerunner for us, having become high priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. Now he is going to be forever our high priest until he comes back to earth to rule and reign as our king. And then he will be our king. And he'll rule and reign with that rod of iron. Also wants to look at 7, 15, and 16. Don't turn the page yet. Would you like to read 7 and start in 14?
Yeah.
Sean?
Yes, ma'am. You said 7:15.
7, start at 14.
Sorry, 14. Right. For it is perfectly clear that our master arose from Yehuda, a tribe about which Moshe never spoke of. Concerning priesthood, and this is clearly still, if another priest arises in the likeness of a
Melchizedek.
Melchizedek, who has become not according to the Torah of fleshly command, but according to the power of an endless life. For he does witness, you are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek.
Perfect. So this is Shaul just repeating what he's already said. He's a priest. He's a high priest. He's in the holy. He went to the Holy of Holies first, and he sits at the right hand of Yah, and he is in the order of Melchizedek, in the order of Shem, who is a high priest, and not the order of Levitical. But no,
Spiritual.
it's spiritual.
Levitical is the physical.
Levitical is it's not the fleshly. He's doing it not according to the fleshly Torah,
Exactly.
which would be the Levitical. That is good. Thank you. Okay. But he kept his promise, and I really like that. Okay, we're in chapter 15. See, I told y'all we would get through this fast, didn't I? Yeah, I'm trying. And after these events, the word of Yah, who is the word of Yah?
Yeshua.
It's Yeshua, and this is who is coming to Abram. Remember me telling you earlier? It was Yeshua. Yeshua came to Abram. Yeshua came to Moshe. Yeshua was with Adam and Eve. Yeshua was there and created Adam and Eve, and that's what he says. When I created you in the garden. That's what the word of Yah said to Adam and Eve. This is
It backs
him.
it up in John 1.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. The word was in the beginning.
That's right.
Okay.
It became flesh.
Yes. So the word of Yah came to Abram in a vision and said, "Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward is exceedingly great." It was merited. It was earned. That's what a reward is. Rewards. Do you give someone a reward for absolutely nothing?
No.
Here, I'm going to reward you just because you're sitting here. No. No. I'm going to reward you because you did something for me. Right? Yes. I'm going to reward you, Gary, because you did something for me.
I got it in my pocket.
I did that yesterday, by the way. Okay.
Ox had a ditch, the ox was gone.
The ox was gone. That ox hauled itself out of the ditch.
Hey, I got a real reward here somewhere. Oh, it's in my billfold.
Okay, we'll talk about your
Okay.
reward. Okay, we're in 15 verse 2. And Abram said, "Master Yahweh, what would you give me, seeing I go childless, and the heir of my house is Eleazar of Damascus?" There we have it. There's Eleazar. We know where Eleazar came from, right?
Exactly.
He came from who? Nimrod.
He was in Nimrod's household. So
He sure
learned a lot of
was.
stuff.
He learned everything. But guess what? What did Eleazar do while he was standing in the court of Nimrod?
He told Nimrod to
Yes.
Abram about what was fixed to happen, so it kept him from getting obliterated.
That's right. He saved Avram's life by sending word to him or going to him personally and saying, "Look, Nimrod is going to come after you and he's going to kill you. He's going to finally do away with you."
So you see how God goes before you and
Yes.
makes a way and protects what looks so bad.
And guys, that's what I was telling you before class started today, is sometimes you think that you're in the deepest pit and that there's so much dirt over you that you can't get out. But it is Yah teaching you
That's right.
how to dig upside down. No, I'm kidding.
Well, Abram learned a lot from all of this.
Yes, he did.
But most of all, he stood up for y'all.
He stood up for Yah, but he learned obedience.
Exactly.
I mean, the most important thing is he learned to be obedient because the obedience protected him. And we're in 15:3. And Abram said, "See, you have given me no seed, and see, one born in my house is my heir. And see, the word of Yahweh came to him, saying, this one is not your heir, but he who comes from your own body is your heir." And so what did Abram do? He believed him and he trusted in him. And he brought him outside and he said, "Look now toward the heavens and count the stars if you are able to count them." And he said to him, "So are your seed, that many. And can the stars be counted?"
No.
No. And he believed in Yahweh and he reckoned it to him for righteousness. Have we heard that before? Sounds like Hebrews, doesn't it? Okay, now y'all ate too much food. Hebrews 11:8.
Something else.
Hebrews 11 is all about belief.
You're good.
Good stuff.
Belief chapter.
Hebrews 11:8. By belief. Read it, Dennis.
11:8.
Mm-hmm.
It says, by belief, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place which he was about to receive as an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing where he was going.
Okay, and did you read that? You sure did. Keep going.
By belief, he sojourned in the land of promise as a stranger, dwelling in tents with Yitzchak and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise, for he was looking for the city having foundations, whose builder and maker is Elohim.
Keep going.
By belief also, Sarah herself was enabled to conceive seed, and she bore a child when she was past the normal age, because she deemed him trustworthy who had promised. And so from one as him as good as dead were born as numerous as the stars of the heaven, and countless as the sand which is by the seashore. In belief all these died, not having received the promises, but seeing them from a distance, welcomed and embraced them, and confessed that they were aliens and strangers on the earth. For those who speak this way make it clear that they seek a fatherland.
Okay, so listen. By belief, what did they do? By belief, did they just sit there and go?
He stepped out on faith and did what he was told.
Did they go? Okay, by belief, I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna
They
wait for
meditated.
Yah to. They did what Yah told them to do. By belief, they went forward. They did. They reacted. So listen, belief is an action word. If you believe, you're gonna do. If you believe His word, you're gonna be obedient to His word. If you believe Yeshua, you're gonna walk like Yeshua, right? What does that mean? What does it mean to walk like Yeshua? The Torah. You're gonna be obedient to the laws that Yeshua was obedient to. So you're gonna walk like Him. You're gonna talk like Him. You're gonna act like Him, right?
Yes.
If you believe Him, that's what you're gonna do.
Well, that's who he is.
That's right.
You're
He
not
is
gonna
the Torah.
be it if you don't.
He is the Torah. He is Yeshua, also known as Jesus, is a walking, talking, living, breathing Torah. Okay.
You can take it to show that he is a Torah because in John 4:16, 4:6, it says that he is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through him. Then you go to Psalms 119, 142.
Let's do that. Okay, so
You need to see that.
That's a new.
Yeah.
So let's go to John 6,
Is it 6:14?
6:14.
Okay.
Actually, it's John 1:1, then 6:14, and Psalms, then back to John 1:1.
We're not going to get them running everywhere though.
6:14.
6:14. Then the man, having seen the sign that Yeshua did, said, "This is truly the prophet who is coming to the world."
No, that's not, no, it must be, what did I say first?
4:6.
4:6.
I thought it was 6:14 too.
Okay. No, it's not 4:6.
How about 14?
But it's 6, something like that. 6:14?
14:6.
14:6.
There you go.
Yeshua said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Go to Psalms 119, 142. It tells you, your righteousness is righteousness forever, and your Torah is truth.
Okay, let's let the audience go to it. So 119, 142, and read it to them, Dennis, since you.
Your
Oh, you're not there. Okay.
righteousness is righteousness forever, and your Torah is truth.
That's exactly it. So to our live stream audience, Yeshua is the way, he's the truth, he's the light. And if you go over here on page 718 in Psalms 119, verse 142, you will discover that the Torah is truth. Well, if Yeshua is truth and Torah is truth, they are one and the same. And that's exactly what John tells us in John 1:1, which is what.
Beginning.
So let's go to John.
Was the Word.
Let's go to John 1:1. And that way our audience can thumb here and.
Word was with Elohim.
So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. He was in the beginning with Elohim, and all came to be through him. Everything came to be through who?
Him.
Through the Word, through Yeshua. The Word is the Torah, guys. I mean, this is such a beautiful circle of truth that how can you miss it?
It defines.
It defines who Yeshua is. He
Right.
was a walking, talking,
And it's
living,
not
breathing
us
Torah.
defining. It's not us defining, it's the Word defining.
Listen, if we can't define and if we can't prove what we're speaking through the Word, then we shouldn't be speaking
That's
it. And live stream audience, remember that and hold us accountable. If we're saying something that you think is out of line, please let us know. Because we don't want to speak anything that is not truth, because our whole purpose is to push forth truth in this day, because we love so many people who are so lost and are following the lie of the enemy. And the lie is you don't have to do anything. You don't have to worry. All you have to do is know who he is, and you're going to be saved. And that is not true. That's a beginning. Listen, and it's a good beginning. When you know who he is, that is a great beginning. But it is a beginning step. Okay. We are in chapter 15, verse 7. And he said to them, I am Yahweh who brought you out of the Ur of Kasdim to give you this land to inherit it. And he said, Master, whereby do I know that I possess it? And he said to them, bring me a 3-year-old heifer, and a 3-year-old female goat, and a 3-year-old ram, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took all of these to him. He took all of this to him. I wrote over part of my Bible. To him and he cut them in the middle and placed each half opposite the other, but he did not cut the birds. So he left the birds whole. And the birds of prey came down on the carcasses, and Abram drove them away. And it came to be when the sun was going down, and a deep sleep fell upon Abram, that see, a frightening great darkness fell upon him. And he said to Abram, know for certain that your seed are to be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. What's he talking about? Egypt, Mitzrayim. So your seed are going to be sojourners. They're going to be travelers in an area where they are strangers, and they are going to be afflicted and mistreated for 400 years. Prophetic. Prophecy right here. But the nation whom they serve, I am going to judge. And afterward, let them come out with great possessions. Guys, look at Exodus 12:36. And you know what? This is also in the book of, I know I keep going back to the book of Adam and Eve, but it's also in the book of Adam and Eve. Exodus 12 and verse 36. Would you read it, Seth, loudly?
And Yahuwah gave the people favor in the eyes of the Mitzrites, so that they gave them what they asked, and they plundered the Mitzrites.
So they plundered the Mitzrites. And y'all prophesied that, right? And there were a bunch. I mean, they basically, okay, so this is after what has happened. Is it getting hot in here?
Yep.
Turn the AC on. Oh no. I had the wrong person to turn the AC
I can
on.
just open the doors. Maybe he's got like,
Push a button.
The down one.
he's got 7 pairs of glasses on.
Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Again.
Think he has
I
7
know.
pairs of glasses on.
One more time. There. No more. Yeah, he does. I was afraid what he was seeing, okay? Okay, so this was after the firstborn of Egypt had died, right? Yes? Yes. Okay. All right, let's get back over here to Genesis. We're in Genesis 15, verse 14. And the nation whom they serve, I am going to judge, and afterward let them come out with great possessions. And they did. We saw that in Exodus 12:36. And now, as for you, you are going to go to your fathers in peace, and you are to be buried at a good old age. And he was. And then in the 4th generation, they shall return here, for the crookedness of the Amorites is not yet complete. And it came to be, when the sun went down and it was dark, that see a smoking oven and a burning torch passing between those pieces. On the same day, Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, I have given this land to your seed from the river of the Mitzrayim, so from the Nile River to the great river, the river Euphrates. Okay, listen to me, guys. Do y'all know what was happening here with the animals being cut in two? There's a lot of things that you could talk about here. First of all, it could be Mount Ebal and Mount, what was the other one? The 2 mountains of judgment, and then the valley between. That's pictured here. Ebal and Horeb. Are those the 2? So it's Mount Ebal and Horeb. So half of the Israelites stood on the mountain to say the positive curses or the blessings, and the other half stood on the other mountain to declare the curses. So the blessings, the curses, and in between was Moshe and the valley. So this is a picture of that, but it's also a picture of, listen, if a covenant is broken, and this is in the ancient Near East times, when a covenant was made and it was broken, there was a death to be paid. Who do you think was walking? Who do you think that was a torch walking between these pieces? Who's the messenger of Yah?
Yeshua.
It was Yeshua. So there had to be a death for this, right? Okay. So in the death and resurrection of Yeshua in Jesus, we see many things that were fulfilled. Many things. And as you start understanding how the ancient covenants worked, it becomes more important. But this was a covenant that was made here. And it says it, on the same day, Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, I have given this land to your seed from the river of the Mitzrayim to the great river, the great Euphrates, with the Kenite and the Kenizzite and the Kadmonite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Rephaim and the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Girgashite and the Jebusite. Whew.
All those eyes.
Those were a lot easier than the other one. Okay, so I wanted you to see and understand that this was a covenant that was made and it was broken.
And last night we found all of those ice that were over here. Where was it, Dennis? That we went to? Y'all remember? We saw where they came from. I shouldn't have said anything so I could back it up. It was back in Genesis. But it showed that they came down through the lineage of Noah, and they were scattered everywhere. So that's them here.
The river of Euphrates is in today's Iraq,
Yes.
right there, and then also
Yes.
Girgashit, Kyrgyzstan, that's Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan.
Yes.
Today in today's.
That's like the head of it up
Yeah,
there.
it
Mhm.
goes all the way up to Romania.
Yep, it is.
They got they speak in Romania's don't reflect this on the Ramadan, the reign of man and the dawn of night.
Oh, really?
That's what in Romania is what it stands. Yes, it's
The
all
what?
Romania. The reign of man and the dawn of night.
Huh.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to have to look that up. I'm going to check you out.
Okay.
Okay.
I expect you to.
Okay, here we go. So we're in 16:1. Does anyone want to discuss? Y'all are so blown away by Yasher. You just don't have anything to say. Y'all got nothing for me. Nothing. I'm getting nothing from you, or you're asleep. Okay, so we're in 16:1. And Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, and she had a Mitzrayim female servant whose name was Hagar. A gift. Okay. I do want us to look at this. I'm sorry, but it's Yasher 16:23. Because I want to show you who she is. Okay, in Yasher 16:23. And Sarah, the daughter of Haran, Avram's wife, was still unable to conceive in those days. She did not bear Abram either son or daughter. And when she saw that she gave no birth, she took her handmaid Hagar, whom Pharaoh had given her, and she gave her to Abram, her husband, for a wife. And that's not telling us who Hagar is.
She's a handmaid.
She is, no, she's a princess.
Yeah, princess.
She is literally a princess because she was the daughter of one of the Pharaoh's
We saw
concubines.
No, but Hagar, it says,
She was Sarah's handmaid.
oh, yeah, that's what I meant.
So she was Sarah's handmaid.
But she was before that,
She was born a princess.
oh, wow.
So when the Pharaoh took her, oh, here we go. It is in chapter 15, verse 31. And the king took a maiden whom he had by his concubine, and he gave her to Sarah for a handmaid. A concubine. Okay, so it was one of Pharaoh's daughters, okay, which made her a what? If you're the daughter of Pharaoh, you're a princess. Okay, so Hagar, she was a princess. Okay, I wanted you to see that. So, and Sarah said to Abram, see, Yahweh has kept me from bearing children. Please go into my female servant. It might be that I am built up by her. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her female servant, the Mitzrayim, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan. And he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And that would happen, wouldn't it?
Jealousy.
It would be jealousy.
Vicky, the same thing happened with, we're talking about Adam and Eve.
Mm-hmm.
What did Eve handed him the fruit? What did Sarah handed Abram?
Oh, yeah.
His, her maidservant.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a same thing.
Okay, that's interesting.
It is. I mean, but it makes the man is the priest in the home.
Yes,
And is supposed to make
yes, the man is the priest. Supposed to be the priest. Okay, and Sarah said to Abram, my wrong be upon you. I gave my female servant into your bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, I am despised in her eyes. Let Yahweh judge between you and me. And Abram said to Sarai, see, your female servant is in your hand. Do to her what is good in your eyes. And Sarai treated her harshly, and she fled from her presence. And the messenger of Yahweh found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's female servant, where have you come from and where are you going? And she said, I'm fleeing from the presence of Sarai, my mistress. Guys, listen, she despised her mistress. That's what it says up here in verse 4. When she saw that she had conceived, she despised her mistress. So she was probably being haughty to the wife. Don't you think? Okay.
And do you think she had some idea that maybe because Sarai was Abram's wife, that she didn't have as much flack as Sarah had?
That would be very that would be threatening.
Yeah.
If you were just the handmaiden.
She can give her kids and the other one can't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But no, listen.
No,
When you come to the story of Yaakov, and he had the 4 wives, he had the 2 wives and then the 2 maid servants. There was a lot of jealousy there, and they were sisters. Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, and the messenger of Yahweh said to her, return to your mistress and listen, humble yourself under her hand. So he called her the servant of Sarai. That was what she was known by. That's what she was. Go back to your mistress. Humble yourself and under her hand. Be obedient. Mind her. Be respectful.
So it shows that she had been disrespectful.
She had been disrespectful. She had been disobedient.
And probably just flaunted, oh, look what I've got.
Yes, so she was flaunting. And the messenger of Yahweh said to her, I'm going to increase your seed greatly, too numerous to be counted. And that is, like I said earlier, the Arabs of today. But don't forget that they are also from the tribe of Ham. So they're Hamites. They're Hammy. And the messenger of Yahweh said to her, see, you are conceiving and bearing a son, and shall call his name Yishmael, because Yahweh has heard your affliction, and he is to be called a wild man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and dwell over against all his brothers. So he's still going to be living right by his brothers, but his hand's going to be against everyone, and he's going to be a wild man. He won't be tamed, right? He's not going to be a servant, guys. He's not going to be like his mother, Sarah. She was a tamed maidservant. Okay, Hagar. Yes, I called her Sarah. Sorry, Hagar. And she called the name of Yahweh who spoke to her. You are the El who sees. For she said, even here have I seen after even here have I seen after him who sees me. Like it says. That is why the well was called Ber Lahai Roy. See, it is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bore, Yishmael. And Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Yishmael to Abram. And it came to be when Abram was 99 years old that Yahweh appeared to Abram and said to him, I am El Shaddai. Guys, this is the first time he calls himself El Shaddai. So what does El mean?
Yeah.
Mighty. God.
It means God, mighty.
Shaddai means almighty.
Shaddai means mighty. So he's the Almighty God. And he says, walk before me and be perfect, be blameless, full of honesty and integrity. So be perfect, don't sin. And I gave my covenant between me and you and shall greatly increase you. I want to look at something. Look at Revelation 1:8. Okay, in Revelation 1:8, which is on page 1199, he says, I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end, says Yahweh, who is and who was and who is to come, the Almighty. And Almighty is El Shaddai, which is also the Metatron, which is another name for Yeshua. Okay. I just wanted you to see. He's back there too. Okay. And I give my covenant between me and you and shall greatly increase you. And we're in verse 3. And Abram fell on his face, and Elohim spoke with him, saying, As for me, look, my covenant is with you, and you shall become a father of many nations. Now, the word here for nations is goyim. Don't you? Gentiles. So Abram's going to be the father of many Gentile nations, and he is, right? Okay. And no longer is your name called Abram, but your name shall be called Abraham, because I shall make you a father of many nations. So we've got the name change right here. And Valerie, you want to talk to him about the name change?
Because he changes Abram's name to Abraham, and he made that was right after he made the covenant with him,
Yes.
and Abram agreed. So you have the physical Abram, and you have the spiritual Abraham afterwards. I mean, he made a covenant, so his spirit. That's when his spirit came upon him, you know, and he followed him intently, and he does the same. And Abram means lofty. Abram means lofty, and I've got Abraham means face to face, and Sarai means my princess, and Sarah with an H means number one princess.
Our princess. Well, it means our princess. It becomes, instead of my princess, it becomes she's our princess.
She's everybody's.
Everybody's princess. And what's interesting is when he changed Abram's name, he added in a what?
H.
A hey. So the hey, what does a hey mean? What's it? What does a hey in the yud, hey, vav, hey, which is Yahuwah's name? What does it mean? Okay, let me show you. Hey. This was the original Paleo Hebrew symbol. Hey.
Hand. No.
Revelation. So the revelation. So there's going to be revelation that's coming. Yes.
Did the same thing with Yaakov when he
Yes.
wrestled with Yeshua,
Yes.
and his hip got out of place, and he changed his name from Yaakov to Israel.
Yes.
So you see the name change when we.
You know what? That is actually another part of the ancient covenant was you got a name change.
Right.
So there was a name change. So look, he called himself, I'm El Shaddai, you're Avraham. I mean, I just saw that.
Right.
But that is part of the ancient covenants. There were like 7 things that were done in the ancient covenants. The last thing that was done was a name change. So Yahweh became El Shaddai,
Yes.
and Avraham, the Almighty. Avram became Avraham. Okay,
Revelation.
yes, big revelation.
Yeah.
He says, and I shall make you exceedingly fruitful and make nations of you, and sovereigns shall come from you. Guys, think about yourselves. I mean, close your eyes and think like this. You have no children. You've had one son, and y'all still telling you you're going to become a great, great nation. So many kids, so many heirs that you won't be able to number them. Can you imagine? I mean, it would be hard to retain that type of belief. When you're hearing the spiritual, but you see it in the physical, what you
See
have.
nothing.
You see one child, and he's not. And y'all's already told you he's not it. Okay. And I shall establish my
He
covenant.
still had to go back and believe what y'all had told him several
Yes,
verses back.
actively believe.
Yes, have faith to believe it when he doesn't see it, and here he is going on 90 years old. Ain't gonna happen.
That's
normally.
right.
So
That
that's
is.
faith. That's the true faith.
That's right. And I shall establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you and their generations, an everlasting covenant to be Elohim to you and your seed after you. It's a forever, throughout all generations, guys. This is a forever covenant. He is our El. If you claim to be, turn to Galatians 3:25.
Galatians what? Uncle?
3:25. What page is it, Sean?
10:47.
11:33.
It's 11:32. I think you're, yeah, there you go.
And
Okay, go ahead and read 25 through 29, Seth.
And after belief has come, we are no longer under a trainer. For you are all sons of Elohim through belief in the Messiah Yeshua. For as many of you as were immersed into the Messiah have put on the Messiah. There is not Yehudi nor Greek, there is not slave nor free, there is not male nor female, and female. For you are all one in Messiah. And if you are of Messiah, then you are seed of Abraham and heirs according to promise.
Ooh, I like that last verse. What did it say? If you are of Messiah, then you are of the seed of Abraham and heirs according to the promise.
And Abraham was promised the promised land.
Yes.
So our promised land is the kingdom.
We're in the wrong place.
Well, it's the
We've got to
kingdom.
get tickets.
But you become heirs to the kingdom
That's right.
if you do that.
That's
you
right.
have that faith of that Abraham.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it is.
Guys, this is one book,
Not
and,
easy to have
it's
that
from the
faith.
front all the way through to the back. It's just all one big, beautiful story. Okay. And we are in chapter 17, verse 9. And Elohim said to Abraham, as for you, guard my what?
Covenant.
My covenant. You and your seed after you throughout their generations. And this is my covenant, which you are to guard between me and you, and your seed after you. Nobody wants to hear this one.
No.
Y'all don't want to hear this. We women don't care. Every male child among you is to be circumcised, and you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. And a son of 8 days is circumcised by you, every male child in your generations. He who is born in your house or bought with silver from any foreigner who is not of your seed. He who is born in your house and he who is bought with your silver has to be circumcised. So shall my covenant be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And an uncircumcised male child who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, his life shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. So this is a lifetime covenant, guys.
And it's showing in the flesh what we're supposed to do in the spirit of the heart. You know, our heart needs to be, the foreskin needs to be circumcised. It
Yes,
needs to be,
the fleshy part of
the
the
fleshy
heart.
part needs to be gone so that we can receive what he has for us, to walk in that newness of life.
But guys, for you men, this is a sign for you. It's a sign for you that you are his children.
And don't you think that?
So, huh?
No.
Oh, your voice is so.
What about us?
No. Her.
The men are the head of the house. So, to be circumcised, they're going to be walking upright. I mean, it's going to be it's kind of a spiritual thing. And they're to lead the family that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's fine. It's a physical and spiritual.
Yeah, but most guys are like, I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
I don't- And most of you have already probably been circumcised.
That was
And
it.
I'm not asking for a show of hands.
Well, it was when my children were young. They didn't ask you; it just was done.
Y'all were going to volunteer. I know. Yeah. When my kids were born, when my son was born, it was not even a question. You carried them back probably the 8th day. And you know what's really interesting is on the 8th day, the clotting factor in the children's blood is at its highest peak.
Exactly.
So when they do the circumcision, there's very little bleeding,
Right.
which is really
It's done on that
fascinating.
day.
Mm-hmm. Y'all has a purpose in a way for everything. Now for you older guys, I just don't know.
No, 8
So, huh?
8 days passed.
Yeah, but y'all may have been born in when they required it.
I can't remember when
Let's
they
keep
put it
going
in there.
because we're not going to get hung up here. And no, I'm not going to answer any questions on this. Okay, we're in verse 15. And Elohim said to Abraham, as for Sarah your wife, do not call her Sarai, for Sarai is her name. And it's like Valerie said. She went from my princess, and that's what her parents called her, Sarah. That's what Haran named her. She's my princess because she was so beautiful.
And it also has an H in it.
And yeah, it also went to
Revelation.
have an H. part of Yah's name. Revelation, the revealing, the unmasking. So Sarai, our princess, their princess, your princess. So, and I shall bless her and also give you a son by her. And I shall bless her and she shall become nations. So she's going to become nations. He's going to become nations. Abraham's going to become how many nations?
Several.
Many. And so will Sarah. She will become many nations as well. And she shall become nations, sovereigns of peoples are to be from her. And Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said in his heart, is a child born to a man who is 100 years old, or is Sarah, who is 90 years old, to bear a child? He's laughing. I think his laugh was out of joy, okay? Because he didn't get reprimanded, but Sarah did.
Probably out of joy.
Yeah, I
because
think
he
it would be out
believed, He believed everything that
He
God
did.
told him.
And Abraham said to Elohim,
Just sit back and go, I'm going to watch this one.
Guys, I want you to listen to what he's fixing to say, okay? I want you to hear the heart of a daddy, okay? And Abraham said to Elohim, oh, let Ishmael live before you. So he knows that this promise is going to who? Sarah's son. But I'm going to tell you something. He loves Ishmael. He loves him. And Elohim said, no. Oh. He said, Sarah, your wife, is truly bearing a son to you, and you shall call his name Yishak. And I shall establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you, and see, I shall bless him, and make him fruitful, and greatly increase him, and he is to bring forth 12 princes, and I shall make him a great nation. But my covenant I establish with Yishak, whom Sarah is to bear to you at this appointed time next year. And when he had ended speaking with him, Elohim went up from Abraham, and Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all those born in his house, and all those bought with his silver, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskins that same day, as Elohim told him. And Abraham was 99 years old, when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. Guys, guess what? He was not circumcised with Ishmael. Think about that. When he had Ishmael, he wasn't circumcised. He wasn't circumcised until it was time for Yishak to be
Born.
conceived.
There's a spiritual part of that.
What? Yeah, there.
I mean, it is because, and that's
Well,
why.
well, listen. Ishmael was born out from under the covenant
Exactly.
of Yah. He was not born under the sign of the
And
covenant.
that's part of
But
it.
Yishak was.
Yeah.
Okay. And Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. So he's going to be 14 when Yishak is born. And Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised on that same day. And all the men of the house born in the house or bought with silver or from a foreigner were circumcised with him. The end. Oops. Okay, so guys, listen. Everything that we've read today, and we haven't gotten to Isaiah yet. What time is it? Keeper of the clock. It's 4? Okay, we're doing good. So I didn't expect it to take us as long to go through Yasher and Genesis, but listen, what is it all about?
Being righteous.
It is. Robert, you hit it right on the head of that nail. It is about the righteousness. It's about the obedience, the walk. Do you want to be covenanted? Do you want Yah to come to you and say, I want you to do this for me? You're going to have, and you know what, guys? I want to say something else, and I was going to save this for the Adam and Eve, which we're not going to do today. I've put you through enough. I see your faces, and y'all are up to here with wisdom and knowledge.
Anyway, we're
fleeting,
so,
isn't it?
We're so flawed, and they indoctrinate us so much that when you take an hour in church, it's okay, I did that, okay, I'm okay with that. And the walk is so narrow, but if you realize that we're all flawed, you'll never reach perfection, and therefore you take the pressure off of you to You just simply need to be rather than do, you know. And
Right.
it's
Listen, guys, listen. This is your responsibility, okay? To be obedient, to learn Torah, to walk out Torah, and to teach Torah. The only way you can teach Torah is to learn Torah, walk Torah, do Torah. That's the only way you can do it. When I first got into this, my concern was for everyone around me. I was like, listen, this is what I've read. This is what I'm starting to see. This is what's in the Word. And guess what was heavy on my heart? And you can ask Valerie, because it was in Dennis. Dennis was around a little bit later. But what was heavy, heavy, heavy on my heart was the fact that everyone I loved, they've been brought up in churches. And they've sat in the pews and they've listened to the preacher who said, all you have to do is walk the aisle and say, I believe. And that's it. And that's all you have to do. And then you're saved. And you got a free ticket. You don't have to, you're not going to go to hell. You're going straight to the kingdom. And yeah, you may become a backslider, but listen, this is a forever ticket. It doesn't have an expiration date on it. So with that understanding, it was heavy on my heart. In fact, it made it so heavy to me that I wanted to tell everyone. But listen, this is what takes it off. Here's what takes that load off, and it's John 6:44, I believe. I've been really skipping around on verses. No one. Okay, it's John 6:44 on page 1029 for those who might want to turn to it in the Scriptures Bible. It says, no one means not one person is able to come to me, speaking of Yahweh, unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I shall raise him up in the last day. It is not your responsibility. It is not for you to shoulder the load and stress and worry about getting everyone else saved. Not up to you. It's not up to me. Guess who it's up to? Our Father, Abba. It is for him to call them. Now listen, it's for your friends, your family, your loved ones, for them to answer. And they can ignore that call, but it's up to them. But I forget where we were going with all this, but the whole point is to be righteous, to learn Torah,
He's
to
the
walk
one that
Torah.
has to call us.
He has to call.
We
Yeah.
can just be a light. So
Yes.
We can,
It's
they can see
righteousness
you.
is staying that way.
Do what?
It's staying that way.
Oh, yes.
It's staying that way.
Well, listen, if you turn your back after knowing the truth, you'll be one of those lopped off branches. But what the Word tells us is that you can be grafted back in. So, that's, to me, that's not the same as what they call a backslidden Christian. If you've never been taught the walk, how are you going to walk it? So my heart still hurts and yearns for the people who think they're saved, and they're not. And maybe they are. It's not for us to say.
I mean, you gotta go, Matthew, where I think it is that it says, when you get up there, and he's either gonna say, well done, thou good and faithful servant, come on in, or he's gonna say, I don't know you. You did what? You did all these things?
Mhm.
I mean, so it tells you right there that it ain't a free ticket in.
Well, you know what? If we get up there and Yahweh says, hey, you did good. You tried to keep the Torah as best as possible.
Right.
And that's the best that we can do, as best as
Striving.
possible. I would love to hear, but you know what? It wasn't necessary. I would love to hear that. I would love to hear it, because that means that everybody that I've been worried about, they're just going to walk right in. It's going to be fine and dandy. But is it going to be a mark against me for trying to walk Torah and for trying to teach others to walk it? No, it won't be. I don't think that's going to be a mark on me at all. Do you?
Now what?
Well, I've heard people say, if you're trying to walk out Torah, you're belittling what Yeshua did.
Oh.
That's wrong. That's evil.
That's what we're supposed to be doing. Is
That's what we're supposed to be doing, is imitating Yeshua. Yes, sir.
I don't know how clear this will come across, but when you're I mean, and this should be able to be clearly understood, though. I think when you're and again, this is nothing braggadocious. This is so being flawed. No matter how hard you try, you know, Jesus Christ, Yahweh was a traveler. You know, there's no telling how far he walked. But when you're when you look back and you realize that the fasting is so important, no matter how hard you try, that when you're in the learning, you can grasp it all, but it has to all flow and be balanced. So the
Yes,
learning part, the
exactly.
teaching is important. And like you said, there could be a million in a race, and there may be 100 that die, and just one left that's supposed to be balanced. But that experience is something you can't explain. But when you look at the book and you recognize, and then when you start eating again, and everything's not perfect, then it starts to cloud some, and then you have to go clear
Yes.
again. It's
Yes.
the fasting. So the one day, I know, the one day is it like when you're in a learned environment, you get kind of stymied to a certain degree.
Yes.
So honestly, when you're out there and you go 30, 40 miles, you go 3 or 4 days, no water, no food, you think, gosh, man, but man, you're so clear, you're like, but then
I wanna say something
as you
about
start
that.
shaking and you get a little, you think something's got to be wrong, you wonder how you made it. I mean, it's every day, 30
Mm-hmm.
miles a day. I mean, and that's, when you're telling a story, it's so far-fetched that nobody really should believe it. But yet I do have enough sense to know that, trust me, when I say it, I already know how it's going to be perceived.
Yes.
But you do begin to get cloudy. Even your eyes, your hearing, everything. And even the animals, all the animals, it's crazy. When you're so clean, they'll all just come up to you. Doesn't matter what they are. You're like, but then as you,
The eyes get cloudy like you're talking
it's
about. I've
the
seen
most
Okay, let me-
extraordinary thing.
Let me bring you to this place.
Sorry to get carried
No,
away.
no, you didn't. And
I understand.
so that's a place that I've been on the fasting, because I told y'all,
Yes, ma'am.
what I did this week is I fasted a couple of days, just 2 days. I mean, that's not very long, guys. It's not long at all, and that's not bragging. But what I'm going to tell you, I was looking and I thought, okay, so in reading the rest of the book, the first book of Adam and Eve, once they ate and once their body, I want you to listen to me. Once they ate and once their body functions started to work, they became animal-like. They became brutish, and no longer were they allowed to enter into the presence of the kingdom.
That's perfectly said. I
So-
can't
so
say that.
do you
That's
see where I'm
exactly-
going?
That's exactly the way you feel.
Okay, so
I mean, it's-
let me add this part to it.
Perfect.
Okay, so we've got Yeshua, who fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and then, that had an experience with Hasatan
Right.
and the Spirit. We have Moshe, who fasted twice, 40 days and 40 nights. So how was the presence of Yah able to come so near him? Because he was almost at the point of death.
Yeah.
He had so far left the bodily functions that, so this week has just been one of those, oh my goodness weeks. It's been a aha week. So Yeshua doesn't say, like I said, if you fast. He says when you fast. This is what you do. So we need to do a study just on fasting. And yes, sir.
An if you fast means something learned,
Oh.
but a when. I'm sorry.
No, let Bill go
Okay,
first.
sorry.
There's a documentary called The Science of Fasting, and it doesn't discuss anything Bible or Torah related, just health. There's a lot of interesting stuff, even cancer.
Yes, there are lots of good things that come from fasting, guys. A lot of good things. I mean, yes, sir.
Yeshua Messiah, I'm speaking for myself now, takes care of me at times when I don't even realize it until the next day.
Yes.
I think, wow, he has just taken care of me. He kept me out of trouble. And I didn't even know it until like 24 hours later. Things that I was wanting to
I
do.
believe that.
Things that I was wanting to do, but he kept me from doing it.
If you will allow him, if you will submit yourself into him, he will do just that. Go ahead, Robert, and we're going to turn to Isaiah 40.
Yeah, and if you at those times, I mean, and if you don't die and become extinct, you become self-sustained, it's just like a child in a amniotic fluid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's carbon to begin with, so we really take in too much oxygen. We shouldn't be breathing as much oxygen. When the more oxygen that's in the air,
Actually-
that means the more death that's coming to the planet.
Actually, before the flood, the oxygen level was higher, and this is why they lived longer and they grew bigger. So I don't necessarily agree with
No,
that.
well, I understand. This
Well,
is in the beginning,
that's right.
right?
Yes, sir.
Can I tell a quick funny little story?
No.
The girl, I think
No.
that
Yes.
Please. I
Yes.
thought it was Sierra. It was not. I picked up this young girl, same place.
Uh-huh.
She had a pacifier in her mouth. I'm serious. I picked her up. She had a pacifier in her mouth.
Only you, Gary.
And
Okay, Gary, we're live streaming. Okay, we're gonna finish this and then you can finish your story, okay?
There's candy pacifier.
A candy pacifier?
a pacifier like you give a baby. It was white with blue and pink flowers on it.
Oh, wait.
Maybe she's just trying to put smoke in it.
That's not. That's a baby pacifier.
Gee.
What I'm saying, that's what it was.
Well, maybe she had like a bad tooth or something. I don't know.
Giant, she could have been a giant baby.
I didn't
Yeah.
Just born, just
Where we,
born.
Isaiah 40 plus.
We're Isaiah 40,
Nephilim.
27, and
She was a Nephilim.
she was,
That was, I mean, that was historical. Are you sure?
did you take pictures?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We started.
Okay, guys. She could be a Nephilim. I don't know. Okay. We're 40, 27. I mean, it's going to be just like in the days of Noah, right? And they were before the flood and they will be after the flood. You never know. So, did she get in your car? Did she get in your car, Gary?
Yes, I gave her a ride.
Okay. Okay.
He took it out long enough for me to tell her, for her to tell me where she wanted to go.
Listen, guys. I want you to hear me. We have a lot of very confused people out there, and
She was.
if she was sucking on a pacifier, grown woman, she's got some issues. Okay, so
Still live streaming.
okay, so we're on 40, 27. Okay, y'all ready? Why do you say, "Oh Yaakov, speak"? "Oh Yisrael, my way is hidden from Yahweh"? I want to start in actually 26. And I know it says we're not supposed to start there, but we're going to start there. "Lift up your eyes on high and see who has created these. He is bringing out their hosts by number, and he calls them all by name. By the greatness of ability and potent of power, a man is not lacking. Why do you say, O Yaakov, and speak? O Yisrael, my way is hidden from Yahweh, and my ways are overlooked by my Elohim. Did you not know, have you not heard? The everlasting Elohim, Yahweh, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to those who have no might he increases strength. Even youths shall faint and be weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who wait on Yahweh renew their strength. They rise up on the wing like eagles. They run and are not weary. They walk and do not faint." What does that tell you right there?
You do anything with your
You can do anything with Yah. He's going to renew you. He's going to give you the strength. You can walk for 2 weeks without food and water.
But he says, wait on him.
But he says, wait on me. Do what I'm telling you to do. Be obedient, guys.
Ahead of him.
And, yeah, don't run past him. Where is he? Where is he when you go into battle? Where is he?
In front.
He's in front of you. So if you're running past him, is he going to be able to protect you? It's like Valerie said, don't run ahead of him. And that was part of my problem. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm going to outrun him. I can do this on my own, right?
Gotta
And
tell
so,
him, gotta tell him.
yeah, you got to wait behind him, and you got to do it in his time. He has a timing for everything, and it's perfect. Our timing is not perfect for anything. "Be silent before me, you coastlands, and let peoples renew their power, and let them come near, and let them speak, and let us come together for right ruling. Who raised up the righteous one from the east?" And guys, they're talking right here about Cyrus. That's who they're talking about in this verse. Who raised up the righteous one from the east, called him to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made sovereigns subject to him. He gave them as the dust to his sword, as driven stubble to his bow. He pursued them, passed over in safety by a path that he had not gone with his feet. Who has performed and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, Yahweh, am the first, and with the last I am he. Coastlands see it and fear. The ends of the earth are afraid. They draw near. They draw near and come. Everyone helps his neighbor and says to his brother, "Be strong." And the craftsman strengthens the goldsmith. He who smooths with the hammer inspires him who strikes the anvil, saying of the joining, "It is good." And he who strengthens it with nails, so it does not totter. Thank you. You want to keep going, Seth?
But
8.
you, Israel, are my servant Jacob, whom I have chosen, the descendants of Abraham, who love me, who I have strengthened from the ends of the earth and called from its farthest parts, and say to you, you are my servant. I have chosen you and have not rejected you. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not look around, for I am your Elohim. I shall fortify you. I shall also help you. I shall also uphold the right hand of my righteousness. See, all of those who rage against you are ashamed and blush. They are non-existent. And the men who strive with you perish. You seek them, but do not find them. Those who struggle with you, those who fight for you, those who fight you are as non-existent as not. For I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am strengthening your right hand, saying to you, do not fear, I shall help you. Do not fear, you worm Jacob.
What does that mean?
Worm.
He's just called him a worm.
He's like a flesh.
He's like a crimson maggot. So he's what? What is a worm? Does a worm have a spine?
No.
Okay, so he's talking about spineless.
No backbone.
Yeah, he has no backbone. So, and he's talking to Israel. He's talking to Yaakov. I mean, okay, keep going.
You men of Israel, I shall help you, declares Yahuwah, and your Redeemer, the set-apart one of Israel. See, I shall make you into a new threshing sledge and sharp teeth. Let you thresh mountains and beat them small, and make hills like chaff. You winnow them, the wind lifts them up, the whirlwind scatters them, but you rejoice in Yahuwah, and boast in the set-apart one of Israel.
And that was all to who?
Yahuwah.
It's talking to Abraham's seed, right? That's who he's talking to. Okay, so guys, we can keep going and we can go ahead and read Romans if you like. We've done a lot of studying today. We could go through Romans 4, 1 through 25. It's basically, let's just look at it really, really quick. Sean, would you like to read a little bit?
As soon as I get there.
Would you like a page number,
I
Sean?
would.
How about 1092?
Okay.
Do y'all want to read this?
Is it 4?
It's 4.
I'm there.
109 right here.
Which one?
4, 1 through 25.
4, 1, 2, okay. What then shall we say, Abraham, our father, to have found according to the flesh? For if Abraham was declared right by works, he has ground for boasting, but not before Elohim. For what does the scripture say? Abraham believed Elohim, and it was reckoned to him for righteousness. And to him who is working, the reward is not reckoned as a favor, but as a debt. And to him who is not working, but believes on him who is declaring right the wicked, his belief is reckoned for righteousness. Even as David, right?
Even as David.
David also says of the blessedness of the man to whom Elohim reckons righteousness without works. Blessed are those whose lawlessnesses are forgiven and whose sins are covered. Blessed is the man to whom Yahweh shall by no means reckon sin. Is this blessing then upon the circumcised only, or also upon the uncircumcised? For we affirm belief was reckoned unto Abraham for righteousness.
Hold on. Okay, so he's talking about circumcision here, and he says belief was reckoned unto Abraham for righteousness. What did Abraham do? We just talked about it.
He got circumcised.
He circumcised himself,
And everybody
all the
in his
men in
household.
his house, and his son, his little 13-year-old son. Okay. And you have to remember, who is writing Romans? Shaul.
Paul.
Okay.
Keep going.
You're doing good.
How then? I was at 10, right?
You are.
How then was it reckoned, being in circumcision or in uncircumcision? Not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision. That's confusing.
Oh, it's so confusing.
And he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of the righteousness of the belief, while in uncircumcision, for him to be a father of all those believing through uncircumcision, for righteousness to be reckoned to them also. And the father of circumcision to those who not only are the...
Okay, listen. As you're reading this, when you get to uncircumcision, say Gentile. When you get to circumcision, say, say Yisrael, okay?
Okay.
Because the circumcised and the uncircumcised are the nations and the covenanted. And this is what Shaul is talking about here. And so it's gonna help you like this. He received the sign of it's gonna be hard for you to do this. He received the sign of Israel, a seal of the righteousness of the belief, while in a Gentile condition.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So let me ask you: Was Abraham an Israelite? No, he was. What did it call him? A Hebrew. So he became the father of all the Israelites, but he was a Hebrew. So does that make sense? Did that help y'all to see that? Okay, so keep going, and we're when you get circumcision and uncircumcision, we're gonna give you the right words. How's that?
That'll work. Those are
Okay.
good words. Alright, what was that, 12? And the father of
Israel,
to those who not only are of the
Israelite,
but who also walk in the steps of the belief which our father Abraham had in,
Gentile.
for the promise that he should be the heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the Torah, but through a righteousness of belief.
Okay, hold on. Okay, what do we know about Abraham? He grew up as what? Did he grow up in the way that Yeshua walked?
Yes.
No, he didn't.
Well, from
Did he
10 years old,
Yeah.
he learned
He learned.
he learned the way.
Okay,
What did
Steve.
you say?
Oh, I'm talking about Shaul.
Oh,
Oh.
Okay, so I'm trying to
Okay,
explain
right.
how Shaul. Did I call him Abraham? So sorry.
Yes.
Okay, Shaul. How did he grow up?
A
Did he grow up
Pharisee.
in the way? He grew up as a Pharisee. And what did the Pharisees do? Law upon law upon law. So they had
Added
what?
to it.
They added to the law. They had the Torah, the Talmud, excuse me. They had what was called the Talmud, which was a huge big book of laws, right? These guys were not of Levitical priesthood. And by this point, after Solomon, they should have been of Zadokian. They should have been sons of Zadok, which are Levitical, but they should have been of the sons of Zadok instead of Aharon. Okay. Keep going.
13.
13.
For the promise that he should be the heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the Torah, but through a righteousness of belief. For if those who are of the Torah are heirs, belief has been made useless and the promise has been nullified. For the Torah works out wrath, for where there is no Torah, there is no transgression. On account of this, it is of belief that it be according to favor, for the promise to be made certain to all the seed, not only to those who are of the Torah, but also to those who are of the belief of Abraham, who is father of us all. As it has been written, I have made you a father of many nations, in the presence of him whom he believed, even Elohim, who gives the life to the dead and calls that which does not exist as existing. who against all exception did believe in expectation, so that he should become father of many nations, according to what was said, so shall your seed be. And not having grown weak in belief, he did not consider his own body already dead, being about 100 years old, and the deadness of Sarah's womb. He did not hesitate about the promise of Elohim through unbelief, but was strengthened in belief, giving esteem to Elohim, and being persuaded that what he had promised he was also able to do. Therefore also it was reckoned to him for righteousness, and not because of him alone was it written that it was reckoned to him, but also because of us, to whom it shall be reckoned to us who believe in him who raised up Yeshua, our master, from the dead, who was delivered up because of our trespasses and was raised for us to be declared right.
Okay, so what is Shaul saying? Can the Torah save you? Mm-mm. The Torah won't save you, right? Okay, so what's going to save you?
The walk.
Believing
No.
and doing. Hearing, obey.
The faith and
Hold on. Listen, if you walk the walk, I'm going to say a big if you could be obedient to every bit of the Torah, if you could, and you got to the gates, and you know nothing about Yeshua, you don't believe in Yeshua, are you saved? No. If you don't walk the walk, but you believe that Yeshua was the Son of God, even Satan believes that, and you get to the gate, are you saved? No. So you have to have what? You have to have the walk to get to the gate, which is Yeshua. And when you get there and he sees you and he knows you, it is the belief and the trust in him that is going to open that gate. But if you believe him, you're going to do what? You're going to obey his commands.
He's
What?
going to see himself in you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Look at Revelation 22:14. It's like Valerie said. He's going to see you walking like him, talking like him. Look at 22:14.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry.
That's like the last verse.
Almost.
It's look, I'm glad you said that. This is almost at the very
Yeah.
end of the book, right?
Close to it.
And what we have here is starting 13. I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Who's that? Yeshua.
I was sorry. I was thinking.
Blessed are those doing his commands, so that the authority shall be theirs unto the tree of life, and to enter through the gates into the city. To get into the gates of the city, what do you have to have? Obedience.
You have to have the testimony of Yeshua and
The obedience to the law of Moshe. So what Shaul is saying, you can walk the walk, but if you don't have the belief in Yeshua, you're not going to be saved.
so basically what it's saying is that the law or whatever is how you do it, and then the testimony is you doing it.
Yes, belief in him is you do it. Listen,
How about doing his commands with the right approach?
that's what I was fixing to say. Listen, if you love him, it is our walk. Why are we obedient to Torah? Because it's who we were made to be. It's what we were made to do, right?
Exactly it.
So if you love him, you're going to do exactly as he says in, is it John? If you love me, you're going to do what?
Obey me.
You're going to keep my commands. You're going to keep my commands. And so I'm going to say this to some of our live streamers. If you're out there and you've read through the New Testament and you're like, oh no, Shaul says, the New Testament says that the law was done away with, I would like you to do a favor for yourself. I would like you to go through the New Testament, and I would like you to read every single book in the New Testament and skip Shaul's writings and see if you find anywhere the law was done away with, because you will not find it. It's not in any of the books except for where Shaul has written, and it's a misunderstanding because Shaul loved the Torah, and he kept it. And so what you have to understand is Shaul grew up under the Pharisaical law. He said he was what? A Pharisees of what? Pharisees. So what did he understand as the Torah? Their law, their book of laws that was bigger than this. It was a huge book of the Talmud, of the laws, the oral laws that had been passed down.
So what he's talking about is those.
Yes, that's a law that has been done away with. It's not the Torah, the very simple Torah that you will find in the very first 5 books of the Bible. So,
Well, Vicki, why would y'all do away with
his son?
do away with the Torah when he said, I am the same yesterday, today, and forever, I change not. So what makes us think that he did away with that? Because it's in the first Bible.
Listen, guys. Even the Yud He Vav He, you know what that says? The God who was, the God who is, and the God who will be. That is his name. And so, what Valerie's saying is that literally his name says, I'm the same yesterday, I'm the same today, and I'm the same tomorrow. So what he said yesterday was good. Can it ever be bad?
No.
Never. Is it going to change? No. Because he doesn't change. I'm sorry, Seth, go for it.
It's basically man-made needs. Like we fit some people. I'm not saying all. I've even done it myself. I've like looked at scripture and I wanted to fit it in my needs. And
Yes.
what I wanted, and not what he wanted.
That's right.
Well, why does everyone go, I don't want to be under that law? Why do they do that? They don't. First of all, they don't even know what the law is. They don't know what it's all about. And it's very simple. And really, if you're keeping the 10 Commandments, you're doing it all. Okay? But they forget about number 4, which is,
Keep the Sabbath holy.
that's it. It's the Sabbath. Keep it set apart. Keep it holy. Yes, sir.
One of the things I ask for when I pray is, I thank him for what he did, for what he's doing, what he's going to do. That's the 3 things.
Yes. There you go. Guys, he is back behind the scenes in every one of our lives, and thank him and praise him for every trial he sent your way. Because guess what it means? What does Hebrews say? If he's not testing you, he doesn't love you. You're not his son.
That's right.
If he's not testing you and changing you, you're not his child. So if everything's going hunky-dory in your life, because it's not going hunky-dory in mine.
Well, I think about a diamond in the rough. When it comes out, you can't even recognize it as a diamond. And so for it to have the beauty that it is intended to be, it's got to be beaten and gone through all kinds of rough treatment to get out and that's the same way with us.
Yes.
We got dross on us and in our heart, and so he has to get that away, and the only way he can do it is the crisis to come in our lives and to show us who we really are.
We got to go through the fire, guys.
Yeah.
We
And
ain't
when-
had a Deuteronomy 8:2 moment. Pray for one.
And tell them what Deuteronomy 8:2 says.
Well, it basically says he led them through the wilderness 40 years to humble them, to test them and prove whether or not it was in their hearts and keep his commandments.
That's it.
That's it.
So when we're in the fire, we should what?
Quote that one.
We should trust him and hold firm to his word. We should
Walk
believe
his
in him,
ways.
keep his, trust that he will get us through this if we obey him, if we listen to his commands, if we walk in Torah, if we stay on that path of obedience through belief and not falter when we're going through our fire and trust in him, and he'll get us through it. And that's our test. I mean,
That
don't
is,
give up.
but don't beg for him to get you out either.
Right.
Guys, listen, if you're in the middle of the fire and he's doing some hammering on you and he's knocking some of that dross off of you, and he sticks you back in the fire to get heated some more, don't be screaming and yelling, get me out of here, save me. He's got you in there for a purpose. Allow him to work with you. And guys, be joyful. Be joyful. Do not Don't let it bring you down. Listen, my son, this is Hebrews 12:5. My son, do not despise the discipline of Yahweh, nor faint when you are reproved by him. Don't faint. Don't be like Adam and Eve, just passing out, dying every time they see the son. Oh no, he's going to burn us with fire. Okay, for whom Yahweh loves, he disciplines and flogs every son whom he receives. Guys, you're his sons if you're going through the fire. If you endure discipline, Elohim is treating you as sons. For what son is there whom a father does not discipline? But if you are without discipline, of which all have become sharers, then you are illegitimate. You want to be illegitimate? No. And you are not
They were serving
sons.
the wrong one at that point.
That's right. Moreover, we indeed had fathers of our flesh disciplining us, and we paid them respect. Shall we not much more be subject to the Father of spirits and live? So if you are subject to the Father's disciplines, what happens? You find life. So, guys, listen, pray. Don't pray that he puts you through the fire.
No.
Don't do that, okay? That's not what I'm saying. But thank him. And listen, it's his mercy and it's his grace that will get you through it. It's only through his mercy and his grace that you can walk this walk. But it is the most freeing walk you can walk, isn't it, Robert?
I don't have the if, but, or any of that. That's factual.
Yeah, there's no way to explain it. It frees you. It sets you free.
When we get off of that path, it's through his mercy that we can get back on it.
That's right.
To where his grace covers us.
That's right. His grace will cover you all the way down that trail when you're walking his walk. It's his
Under his
protection.
Whoever you are right
Pick it
here,
out.
when you're without and to that extreme, trust me, it will transition. It will show you who you really are.
That's-
Whether you be completely evil in your heart or good, it will show you.
Listen, when you're in the fire, your true nature comes out. And I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes it's really, really ugly. It's like, and I'm not talking about you.
Right.
I'm talking about me. I'm talking about
If
me.
you wear your emotions, they can see you coming a mile away. But I mean, if you, most people think with their heart. I mean, they're easy to figure out.
Mhm.
Most people that are hidden and, like you said, they're sitting with all of their idols and they're outside the gates, but they're laughing at you, and they're wondering, how you're going to make it in because you're so stupid. But what is amazing is you never ever, very seldomly,
See, talking
you'll
about me.
always end up at the right. You're always at the right place at the right. He's always at the right place at the right time, and he never fails.
So did you hear what Robert was saying? Guys, Yah has a plan for each one of us. It's not going to look like what you think it's supposed to look like. It's not going to feel like what you think it's going to feel like. Sometimes you're going to be, a lot of times, let me rephrase that. A whole lot of times, you're going to be very uncomfortable. But be bold and be strong and stand when you want to fall down like Adam and Eve fell down. Stand and don't be one of those fainting goats. Okay. Okay, so guys, next week we are going to be in Vayekra, and it is and he appeared. It's going to be Genesis 18:1 through Genesis 22:24, and 2 Kings. I'll bet 2 Kings 4:1 through 37. And again, we will be back in the book of Yasher, because Yasher has been just an incredible journey. And I think next week is not as much Yasher. That sounds like a weird word to some of y'all, but it is an additional book. But next week we won't be in Yasher as much, and the Torah portion will go fast, and we will be finishing up the first book of Adam and Eve next week in the afternoon. We will be meeting on Monday at 12:30. And so we're done with it's kind of sad, we're done with our fall festivals. We've finished them. And Monday was so much fun. And we wish all of y'all could have been with us on live stream out at Fort Parker. We had such a good time. running and playing in the leaves and on the trails, right?
And acorns as big as baseball.
Huge acorns. I've got 2 of them.
I've never seen
I don't know if it's legal to take them.
His nose, he's like,
That, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a mighty, mighty squirrel. So for you live streamers, join us Monday in Mahia, Texas at the First United Methodist Church. 12:30, we eat, and then we are in the study. I believe we're finishing up John, and we will be going into Acts. So it's a Brit Hadashah study in Mahia on Mondays, and then next week we will continue with our Torah Portia and with Adam and Eve. If you have questions, feel free to email us on the Facebook live stream. We'll be glad to get back with you and enjoy. And we've got to pray out. I think we've had an accident over here.
Yeah.
Either that or they're dancing. That's just weird. Okay, let's pray, guys. Can y'all stop long enough? And let's pray out. Boy, y'all stop fast. Abba, we just thank you for today. We thank you for your word. We thank you for the book of Yasher. Father, you've got 2 witnesses that have referred back to that book in 2 Samuel and in Joshua. And so, Father, we're going to use that book. We're going to use the books that were found in Qumran, because all of your books were found in Qumran except for Esther. So we're going to use these as a word unless we find out that they are completely against the canon. And always we will refer back to the canon. But we thank you for opening these books up to us at this last day. Abba, I'm asking that you will bless everyone in this room. Father, we're all on that walk, and we're trying so hard and so desperately to walk that walk for you. Father, keep us on the trail. Keep us on the path. And when we get off, Father, I'm asking that you will just nudge us back on gently. Some just need a gentle tap, Father. I think for me, I need a swat. So be a little more rough with me. And Father, let us hold each other accountable in everything that we're doing. Keep Scott safe on the road as he's going to Midland, Odessa, job hunting, and give him great success in that endeavor. Father, success for everyone in this room and what you have planned for them. And Father, not in the way that man's success is, but in the way your success is defined, Abba, that we can walk the walk and be a witness, be a light for your word. Father, we bless you, we bless your name, and we just bless Shabbat. Our Lord and our Savior, Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, is Lord over Shabbat, and this is a precious day for us. Keep everyone safe on their way home, Father. Let this be a week. Father, we're ready for change. We're ready for new growth and continued growth. Father, bless everyone in this room on that journey. In the precious, precious name of Yeshua, we pray these things. Amen,
Amen.
and amen.
Amen.
Okay.
Apologize for my blowing up soda.
What did it do?
It blowed up.
Oh,
We had an explosion here.
it is?
Bash and shalom.